The question is not whether individual people who happen to be religious or who happen not to be religious are good or bad. The question is whether religion itself is.
I come here not to bury God, but to praise honesty, full disclosure, and skeptical empirical inquiry, which, alas, are bearing God.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Design Flaws.
Season 2.
Season 2. This is our 36th episode. If you want to watch our first season, you can go on the SecularTV channel, and they should have a playlist labeled Design Flaws, and it should all be there. But we are no longer with that network anymore. We are here on the Mythicist Milwaukee channel. And they are actually right over there doing their podcasts as we speak, which I will have to be editing later.
Because we're great at
All right, so let's introduce ourselves to this new audience.
Okay. Hi, I'm Chris.
This is Chris.
Or SK.
Or SK.
SK? I've never heard you called SK.
Shake her.
Yeah, it's my last name.
I never heard you call SK, though.
Really? Alright, you don't hang out with those friends, but that's not important.
Okay.
We'll call me Chris for this.
I'm not one of those
I wear a stupid
friends.
green robe, only so that people point out that I'm wearing a stupid green robe. It's a great diversion from other more hostile topics.
And this is Joe. Actually, hold on. We're not done with Chris yet. So, Chris, tell us what you are good at, what you are here for.
Oh, right. We each have our own specialty. I'm mostly the science expert on the show. I talk a lot about quantum mechanics and have absolutely no idea how philosophy works, so that's where I come from. I am as brute, intellect as you can be, but my phrasing's usually quite poor. So I've got some assistance from my buddy Lorence here.
I think that's good from you.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You can shut up now.
All right.
How about you?
What am I good at?
Yeah.
Oh,
who
name,
are you?
Who
Well,
are you?
I feel like it's like the first day of school.
It is the first day of school.
We may as well be.
My name is Joe. What am I? Oh my god, this really feels like a first day of school. I'm freaking out about that right now.
Roll up.
Sorry. So, I'm a huge philosophy guy. I also love diving into different types of politics, religions, and also like a bunch of historical facts as well. But I mostly just deal with asking questions, being, we'll say, representative of the average person's mindset, because I don't believe I'm smart in any other expert fashion.
You can be whatever you want to be as long as you believe in yourself.
Yeah, Joe. He's smarter than he says he is.
I'm also very modest.
Yeah.
So,
Alright.
long story short, I love asking questions, and I love annoying the heck out of these guys.
Alright. My name is Lorence. I am actually the person that edits all the other videos you watch, so, thank me
him.
for that, yeah.
Thank you. Only him.
With the exception of holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit, I don't edit that. I only edit the podcasts, the weekly ones.
And I do believe that we need to make sure that our language is a little bit more up to par for this. No more super profane discussions.
Yeah, alright,
So-
but I'm gonna actually get into this.
Okay.
So...
If you look at SecularTV, we got some.
Yeah, if you look on SecularTV, stop getting me off track.
My apologies.
So, anyways, I'm Lorence. I'm also the founder of the Atheist Community in Milwaukee, and you can find my channel. You can always YouTube that, and I'll be there. And my expertise is a little bit of both, I think. I balance it out as best I can here. When it comes to philosophy, I've actually written a book on counter-apologetics. When it comes to physics, I'm better with particle physics and cosmology. Quantum mechanics is a little different, so it's not exactly my cup of tea, but I understand it as best I can. That's where we're coming from. So on the SecularTV network, there's a big backstory behind that. There's a lot of drama, and basically the management just fell apart. And we were actually a very good show on the network. We were the best rated show on the network.
We were?
Yeah, we were.
Yay!
And we liked working with them when they were working.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
us.
We really did enjoy that. So
However, we're here with Mythicist Milwaukee, so this
Kind of makes
sense.
yeah. So
So what exactly is this show?
yeah, what exactly is the show? So, like I said before, we're Design Flaws, and we talk about politics, philosophy, science, social issues. We talk about pretty much whatever.
Think of it as you have the Mythicist Milwaukee show on this channel as your more professional podcast. We're kind of the lesser discussion type.
Yeah.
A
But
couple of guys sitting around on a couch, quite literally. And just kind of discussing these types of things. So,
And I think the important part is here is actually, you know what? We'll gauge your reactions. We will gauge people's reactions to this, and then because here's the way I like to do it. I like to have total free speech discussion. I like to be the most. I know you do. You Mr. Let's get rid of the First Amendment. I'm just kidding. That's not him. He doesn't want to do that. We like to have fun on the show. We like to make fun of each other. That's just how we are. If that's your cup of tea, that's what we're about. But we'll gauge your reactions. Feel free to leave comments telling us what you would like us to talk about on the SecularTV channel.
or how dumb we are.
Or how dumb we are.
Or
yeah, absolutely.
Also now on the Mythicist Milwaukee channel, and we have a Facebook page.
No. I wasn't even finished with the sentence.
Well then.
Okay.
This is how we work.
Yeah.
All right.
Constant
So
banter.
shut up. God damn it. So on the SecularTV channel, you can find 35 other episodes, and we had one on free will and determinism. We've had episodes on abortion. What else?
Education reform.
Education reform. Aliens and shit. That's what we called it.
Yep.
We were going over this ridiculous spirit science and metaphysics website. That was ridiculous. That's where we're coming
There's a
from.
massive variety of things we've gone through, but I think we should get breaking into today's episode and our new friend.
Yes. So this is, first of all, we have two friends with
Yep.
us. We have the regular ass spaghetti monster.
Can't fly.
It does not fly. And then we found a penguin.
Yes.
So we adopted him.
So
Or
this
her.
is,
Why not?
This is the adopted penguin. I don't think it has much of a backstory beyond
No,
we enjoyed the fact that we now have an adopted penguin.
Yes, and we adopted him or her today. So
See how it develops.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Today's episode: world domination.
So the idea behind it was, I had a thought. There's a lot of, obviously you have your movies of world domination. All the villains are going through world domination. They want to take over the world.
Right.
But now, I want to know, in a real world setting today, is it feasible to actually take over the world?
So
Depends on what you mean.
That's what I was saying. Let's define some parameters here, because we've got lots of people with what you could argue have, in some regards, conquered the world. I would say that Alexander the Great, at that time, conquered the world because that was what the world was at the time. Now, if you were going to say conquer the world now, you would mean literally the globe, all
Which would
inhabitable
By today's
territories and space. Why not? You know.
well, because it's the world.
right.
That's
I
not
mean, like the space
space.
around Earth.
So the atmosphere.
No, like orbit.
Okay.
I would include that because at some point.
So you
we're
control
gonna
like all satellites and everything. Like
Sure,
that.
right. You
Okay.
control
Okay.
the world. That would require you to have those things as well.
Yeah.
Now, when I was younger, I recall aspiring to actually wanting to conquer the world, but now I've realized that, not now, I realized it a long time ago, that is a ridiculous goal, and as my crazy 5-year-old self has changed since then, not something I'm trying to achieve anymore. Still a fun concept, though. Very interesting concept. Now, the thing is, what do you mean by conquering the world? I think is that. But I think there are other ways that you could say you rule the world. Because there's systems in place like banks or even just government systems that realistically, if you look at some of the ways that they're set up, the U.S. kind of rules most of the world. Just by sheer economic power and political advising. All over the place.
Well,
I'll just finish with this. We've got what do they call it? Like centers,
Embassies
and consulates and all sorts of other political bureaucracy-based systems across the world. Almost every country has one, with the exception of like 3. Because they don't want it from anyone. They want no one to be there. And I don't think we care about Somalia that much, to be fair.
Yeah.
So in some regards, you could argue that the United States rules the world, or at the very least, our culture rules the world.
Well, I would have to disagree just a little bit.
Okay.
So
I'm not 100% on this. So.
Okay. So I think the reason it can't be argued that the United States rules the world is, well, first of all, what is our measurement system? It's the imperial system, where everybody else uses the metric system.
That is somewhat of a misnomer. I have worked in construction, and I have very good knowledge on what NASA's standards and the scientific community's standards are, and everyone uses metric. The only time you don't use metric is when you're buying stuff from Home Depot as an amateur.
I think that's what he's talking about, is that
our
general base population uses the imperial system.
Like they use feet and miles.
Right. I don't know.
I don't know my height in meters. I could figure it out,
You're
but
like-
I don't know my height in meters. I know my height in feet.
Like, hold on.
See? Exactly.
1.5 meters. I'm pretty sure of it. Because I'm 1.65.
Isn't a meter like 3 and something feet?
Yeah.
So
I'm 6.
So you're saying you're less than 6 feet
I'm
tall.
no, yeah, you're less than 6, and 6 feet is 1.8 meters. So I'm just a little bit above that.
I don't know the case.
I know the
I can't
conversions.
help
I've bothered to learn them because they are, in fact,
either way,
a useless measurement otherwise. The feet is a terrible measurement. I will agree with you there. But, I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily
how tall are you in feet?
I'm 6'2".
How tall am I in feet, do you think?
5'10".
See, like you do that a lot faster than you do the metric system.
I'm not disagreeing. I had to convert it.
Exactly.
I've been trained as
Exactly.
well, but I'm saying that that's just such a small fraction of our culture that I don't think that
I know, but
if
we ruled the world, then wouldn't everyone else also do the whole?
Well, that's an interesting thing. Let's say that Rome at some point had ruled a good chunk of the world. Now, one of the weird things about Rome is that as much as they tried to standardize things, they also allowed native existing things to exist, like their own measurement systems, their own languages, their own religions in some regards. Now, were they looked up upon? No. Were they frowned upon? Sometimes. It really depends on who was leading that area at that time. But in general, you can say that Romans let those cultures exist while still ruling them.
Okay.
And what I mean by we have a strong culture right now is that all over the world, if you were to watch Korean movies or watch or listen to Middle Eastern influence that isn't counter America culture, or any real media, they take such great homage from the United States' example, and you can really see that.
What do you mean?
I mean that they literally build their ideas off of what we think is popular. Now, there are some major outliers, like Japan, but they still take lots. Like, the entire genre of anime was based off of United States American animation.
Do you mean?
I know about that.
Do you mean?
And I've been talking a
anime
lot.
based
so.
on mangas?
No. Those
The actual
two
cartoon animes.
The actual cartoon animes, which mangas were based off of our comics. We came up with comics first.
I gotta look it up.
You go ahead.
Okay.
So, let me put some, while he's doing that, let me put some parameters for you then.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that realistically,
yes.
you know.
This is what we do. I sit on my phone and fact check him.
Yeah.
So,
Come on.
let's put it this way. We'll go more traditional sense, I guess you could
So
say.
you mean
of
like
world
a
domination.
totalitarian kind of conquest?
We'll say an individual or a small group of people rule the world. Is that possible? Now, granted,
I could argue that that's happening now too.
I say, granted, you could probably turn that into something like the United States, and that basically takes over the rest of the world that way.
I'm not
anyway.
sure it's just the United States for
But-
that.
So, how would that be possible?
Well, currently we're living in a system that you might call a plutocracy, which is that the uppermost percentage of the population has the majority of the wealth, and that margin is becoming more and more apparent.
Okay.
So how would you have that? Well, within a poorly regulated capitalist system where certain methodologies of distributing wealth create more wealth for the person who already has that, you'll get that no matter what. It will happen. Now, will the middle class necessarily suffer for that? In some regards, it absolutely is right now, but I wouldn't say that the system isn't fully working. I would say that they don't rule with an iron fist. They don't have pure control, but their financial influence is so great that they,
practically
in
is
some
control.
regards, sway. Some countries might be worth a couple $1 billion. Well, some guy's worth 5 times that much. One person's entire wealth is worth 5 times that of an entire country's. They're going to have an insane amount of sway on that end. Now, in terms of will that happen, I don't know, but it is a possibility that could be how the world gets conquered, is by somebody with immense wealth.
All right, so here's how this happened. So we created comic, we created little comics.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
And then they made whole books out of it.
Right.
And then we made comic books.
Oh, I didn't know it was that order. But I thought it was that we inspired them to create them in the first place.
So, yeah,
Okay.
Arguably,
But actually, arguably, Japan has just as much cultural influence on us right now as we do on them.
Oh, big time.
Big time, yeah.
Hell, look at Hello Kitty.
Oh, hello.
That's your favorite.
It's my girlfriend's favorite.
No,
Are
it's
you
your
serious?
favorite. It's your favorite, Joe.
It's my favorite.
It's your favorite.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
I mean, aside from...
So we've got cultural domination. I wanted to make that distinction. We've got we've got economic, and then I think there are 2 others that I would throw out there.
Okay.
There is political, and there is war.
Okay.
I think there might be more, but I'm just
That's fair.
You know,
I think that's a fair basis.
yeah.
So when it comes to war, I think at this point in time it's the easiest. But
Really?
Yes. Although
How would it be the easiest?
well,
I find it to be the most difficult right now.
I think it would be the easiest because without a thought, now it wouldn't be good for us.
No.
We would only have dominance for maybe about a day before we're all dead of the radiation.
Or something.
Yeah, or something else, you know.
You know, yeah, we're all...
You
Some
would,
virus.
You would have killed
Who cares?
everybody else.
This
but
is a huge thing I
You'll
had.
die last.
This is a huge question I had come up while I was thinking about the whole idea of world domination too. Is you can technically dominate the world, but can you sustain it?
Sustain it. I think that would actually require. I think you've talked about this on other episodes. I think that would require a global government,
Yeah.
and then you could just call that.
The world
Well,
is dominated.
yeah.
I don't necessarily think that the idea of world domination would be a bad
Yeah,
thing.
it just depends on what
like
you
I
mean.
like I said earlier with Rome saying, you know, we have control over these areas, but you are free to practice and do as you wish. That's fine. That's just a unified level of governance that's one above what people are used to, giving some level of protection to trade and culture and safety, which are all good things. So a world government doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It just means that people are cooperating.
So what if we take it from a more stereotypical standpoint, where yes, exactly.
You mean like Napoleonic warfare?
Yes, and not warfare, but that kind of control
Mentality.
where you have a dictator. that has dominated the world.
Now, I had thought of a very interesting concept of how to do that.
Of course you have.
Of course I have. Well, let's be really surprised and say, giant death laser, no way, man.
Whoa!
Whoa, right? Okay, no, it sounds far out, but it isn't actually that far
man.
It isn't actually that far-fetched.
It sounds far out, but not far-fetched. That sounds like a quote. That is an official SK quote.
That's gonna go right on Twitter.
That's gonna go right on Twitter?
Yep.
All right, remember that, Joe.
Okay.
All right. Sounds far out, but it's not that far-fetched.
We'll look back and...
Okay, yeah, we'll watch this again. But more importantly, what I'm trying to say is you could easily set up a bunch of solar arrays in space. You know, they fold out. They're pretty easy to get up into the atmosphere. And you could have a giant laser in space that you could shoot anywhere on Earth, essentially. And you would say, hey, I'm going to threaten everyone, and you're going to listen to me, or else shit's going to go down.
So how do you protect yourself then from basically the entire world trying to kill you?
Well, you do have
You're
the
in
giant
space.
laser.
You're in space.
You are probably at one of the
that's-
longitudinal, or not longitudinal, but L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and L6. Any of the, I forgot what the L's stand for. Dan. Oh well. But each one of those is a gravitational stable area between the sun, the Earth, or the moon, where it's very far away, but at the same time, you're in geosynchronous orbit. So you would easily be able to rain down from, say you had 2 of those. And I don't know what they're going to do. Launch EMPs? Well, you've got a laser. That doesn't quite work. You can shoot that down long before it can get to you. It'd need to be a very sophisticated system. I'm not denying that.
Also, that's not realistic at all, because somebody would notice you building a giant laser.
You'd be surprised. You'd just say, hey, I'm building this to prevent global warming. Seriously, it will prevent global warming by blocking out sunlight. I thought this thing out.
Actually, and that's a cool point to bring up as
And
well.
the laser is meant to power up other things by shooting down microwave radiation to a relay station in order to give free energy to Earth. Now, it is beneficial. It is a useful thing, but it also just has a death laser stapled on it because I decided that.
I'm pretty sure they'd
now-
ask to see all your plans.
I said, but now I think that's a great point to bring up though, because I think the best way to, I guess, keep yourself safe while trying to grow your world domination plan would be to almost align yourself with progressive values.
Well, at the
whole
same
idea
time, I
of-
don't think, like I said before, world domination is not necessarily unprogressive.
Exactly.
I think in some ways it is progressive.
The idea of a world government.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just basically, what's the saying? You pull out the rug from underneath their feet. I think that's what it is. Once you establish a world government, you pull out the rug from underneath their feet. Next thing you know, you're into some kind of dictatorship. But the entire time...
See, the reason I've abandoned this plan is because being a dictator is a lot of work, and then when you die, the whole world falls into chaos. I'd rather just work with people.
Well, you're dead. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Well, none of it really ever mattered.
Well, we had that discussion last time.
Yeah.
So, I think the best way, and I think this is actually why a lot of conservatives are very opposed to progressive ideas, because it kind of almost shrouds a lot of, I don't want to say evilness, but we'll say deception.
There's a point where it does go too far.
Yeah.
I think you actually brought up a really good point. Not that I think, like social justice warriors want to take over the world per se, but they're policing the language enough where it seems like they want to do that.
And this comes to the whole idea of cultural domination.
Right. Which I don't think anyone should have. I think that if there is a dominant culture, it's because the other cultures like it and choose to integrate their culture with it.
There's a difference between integration.
Exactly, and forced assimilation, which would be way worse. I think that forcing somebody to say, all right, well, you clearly have to think these ways now, and whatever you thought before was wrong, and if you don't, we'll kill you or something.
Well, so then what's the difference between that and saying you have to think this way or you're a moron holding us back?
One of them isn't killing them or hurting them.
Correct.
The other one of them is expressing your opinion.
Correct, but there's still such a thing as social pressures, though.
Well,
you cannot deny those social pressures.
Sure.
Yeah,
and you know what? Those social pressures, if the person truly thinks what they think is correct, they will ignore you.
Yeah.
If the person truly thinks that they were wrong, they'll ask, why do you think I'm a moron? And you can explain to them why you think they're a moron.
Yeah, I think the whole
There's a big difference between shoving your fucking opinion down somebody's throat.
dick in their throat.
No.
Weren't you the one who said we should take up the language?
Oh, well, I'm very sleep deprived.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah, that's the excuse.
It's a good excuse.
No, so I
I
think
mean, Rob Moore is the host for the other one, so
what about it?
he swears a lot on there.
Oh, does he?
You don't listen to
I don't
anything
listen
you
to
edit, do
I don't
you?
listen to anything I edit.
No.
Anyway.
True story. So when it comes to, telling people, are you talking about social pressure? When it comes to the social pressures, a lot of people just don't really. I mean, we are social creatures, but a lot of people don't really have what it takes to say no to those social pressures, which I think is silly. People should just
I think
stop that. People should just, grow a pair.
Okay.
To put it lightly. So it's I don't think that's really an issue of what's the word that you used before?
Cultural domination?
No, not assimilation. The other one.
Oh,
Integration. Yes, I don't think that's necessarily a problem with integration. I think that's more a problem that we can't really fix, honestly.
I say,
that
could that just be natural phenomenon basically with us?
Well, yeah, because because we're a social species.
It just
Right.
happens anyway.
Yeah.
Where would you divide? Or where would
we
you
were-
draw the line between the two? That's the hard part.
What do you
Oh,
mean?
that's pretty easy.
Where would you draw the line between assimilation versus integration, or persuasion versus force?
Force is when they're blatantly, you have to do this. Like if they give you an ultimatum,
Doing
or
what you're doing is against the law now.
something like that. Yeah. But then when it
So
comes,
you would put social pressures more on the integration side.
Well, because a lot of the social pressures that you were referring to are on an individual's end expressing their own opinion. Now, if it is a formally held opinion, at which point it could be considered assimilation. Kind of like if the U.S. government suddenly said, we're a Christian nation, everybody has to be Christian.
that would be force.
That would be assimilation.
Yeah.
Integration would be the U.S. government is now a Christian nation. It's okay to be whatever you want, but we want to let you know it's a Christian nation. And that would be, what was the other
Integration.
one? Integration. Because they would say, we're trying to build up more of like a Christian focus or something. Or whatever
Yeah, but
example.
you're still free.
You are free to express what you want, but we're giving social pressure to change.
Yeah.
That's
but
what-
you're still free.
You're still free to do
believe what
whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one's barging down your door.
I think it's the
and-
whole freedom issue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the First Amendment's so fucking great.
Yeah. Why are you against that, Joe? Huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
totally. But no, I think that's stopping short because
Yeah, it might be an oversimplification.
because
I'm sure
even with
there's
your
more.
example of saying we're a Christian nation, but you can still be free to do your own. We still have the freedom of religion. I still think
One's just a formal statement.
but I still think merely saying this country that represents all is a Christian nation
Well, it
would
depends.
then drive other social pressures and other people to force others to bend to what
But
they want.
it wouldn't be
but
a
that's,
force.
that's not forced.
Because if they still do have the right to do other things and have the freedom to do other things, then it's not forced. They're just idiots.
Now, mind you, you could create scenarios where people who are Christian would frown even further more down upon those who weren't. And it could create social biases and pariahs and
that's
whatever.
what I'm thinking about.
And yes,
But it's
that
still-
is not assimilation.
Yeah, it's still not forced upon you.
That's integration. Now, mind you,
So you're talking about it has
that's-
to be direct direct force right upon you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but the thing is, the scenario that I just mentioned is still a negative. I didn't say
Yeah,
that
obviously.
integration was always good.
Yes.
Integration can be bad. It can cause even more issues than it originally intended to fix.
But I think that's why it would be more of a spectrum, not one or the other.
I think that there's a big grayscale for integration, but assimilation
But
is
if
just
we're,
bad.
if we're yes, yeah, but if we're defining terms, that is how we would define them.
Yeah.
Like we can there can be like some
Wishy-washy stuff
Yeah,
in the
but-
gray zones, but overall, assimilation is not good. That is what we are trying to
Yeah.
say.
Okay.
All right.
Are we still talking about world dominance?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're
Okay,
we're definitely on there.
Well, that's true because if you want the idea, and this was I was going to bring up before, but the whole idea of social pressures, the LGBT movement. While I do believe they're in the right, there is a ton of social pressure that came with that movement as well. If with many people,
well, it's kind of a sway,
Yeah, but with many people, if you even said you were against homosexual marriage, not even saying that they can't legally be married, but that you're just against the idea, swarms of people would come down on you for it.
It's
but see, those people, even Kim Davis, still holds her own thing.
Correct.
So, and that, although she was technically breaking the law, and I think she's a crazy bitch, even though I think all these things, she still has the right to believe what she wants.
Yeah, we can't do that. The only thing we can do is prevent them from hurting other people.
Hell, even the ACLU defended the KKK when the KKK wanted to do a peaceful protest. And the ACLU is a very liberal organization.
Yeah, so freedom of speech. That's basically where that stands.
Also, freedom to protest.
Oh, we got to get rid of that. Remember, in previous episodes we talked about social justice warriors and how they have safe zones, which
safe spaces.
They had a protest to change something to get rid of protests. Brilliant.
It was a whole big thing. The Yale thing. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
We talked about that, didn't we?
All right, so back onto the domination.
Back on the domination.
There is one more.
Would you try to repeal the right to protest?
No.
Why would I do that?
Well,
that's hard.
Yeah.
Not if you dominate the world. It's not.
Well,
okay.
I thought of another way.
At what point would you try to repeal?
It's called scopolamine.
Oh.
Okay, what is that?
Scopolamine is a very potent drug that you can find down in South America.
Okay.
What it does in small doses, we're talking really small or it will kill you, it basically turns you into a blank slate who's willing to do whatever. You're worse than hypnotized. You're willing and able to help with whatever. So one of the things that's really scary about that drug is that if you were to give it to somebody and say, "Hey, what's your bank account number?" and they'd be like, "Yeah, here it is. You know what? Let's go to the. You want to go to the ATM? Yeah, let's go to the ATM. You want to take out all your money? Oh, sure, man, absolutely." And they won't remember it. They won't have any memories of a day before or so and a day after taking the drug. And it lasts for between 18 hours and 3 days. So, another story is of a person coming back to their apartment going, "Where's all my stuff?" And they're like, "Oh, you and your friends were here. They helped you move. They put all your stuff in a truck and, you said you were gone, cancel your lease and everything." And they're like, No, that's all. It's just gone now. You lose everything. Now, in terms of pure domination, that is extraordinarily potent. Now, distributing it on a mass scale is the issue because you would need to know the dosage for everyone. Now, if you had, everyone loves robots, so we're going to go there. If you had an artificial intelligence that was smart enough to distribute this correctly throughout the water system or something, I don't really know how you would do it, you could dominate everyone on the planet. Everyone. They would be your willing servants. You'd live in the weirdest world where everyone's just okay with doing whatever you want them to do. Otherwise, they're on autopilot. Yes, very weird scenario, I'm aware. But that is a fifth option, is pure brain control. And that's the closest thing I can think of to a realistic option of that actually occurring. Now, would I like that world? Probably for like a week. And then I'd be really bored afterwards when everyone is either, I don't know, OD'd or doesn't know what the heck happened that week. And I'd probably just let everyone go back to whatever they were doing, and I'd be very rich.
You'd have everything.
I'd have everything I wanted. But, the world only has so many resources, and everyone gets bored eventually. So no.
Could you possibly turn that almost into a fear campaign? So you don't keep
a fear campaign.
You don't
I already talked about that with the laser.
You don't. I know, but you don't keep them entirely sedated permanently. You'll just do it once and basically take everything from them, and then you basically threaten them to do it again.
Why would I do that?
No, because at this point you already have
You
dominance.
have everything. You have Mindslaver, the Magic the
I said, but
Gathering
then
card
you-
on everyone.
But I'm going for like more sustainability for what you'd want. So you said you get bored.
Well, I'd get bored with most of the world conquest things eventually. I know me.
Yeah, that's
That's
him.
just me on a personal level. I'm not sure that other people would have that. I mean, I played enough, God Simulator games to get bored with that entire genre.
Yeah, but they're simulators. But if you're actually
Yeah,
God,
it's pretty close. There's a lot of possibilities, and maybe I'd be really satisfied for a while, but I actually don't like the idea of having that much power. I like having some sort of challenge. Have you ever heard of that theory from game? I don't know what it's called, but I can give you an example of what the theory states, and it's from gaming particularly.
Okay.
It's that if you give a guy a really powerful ability or weapon or stat or something,
He's OP.
and the ability to use it, will he do anything else? Or just use that ability if it works on everything? You give the guy the nuke gun, what else is he going to use?
nothing else.
Yeah, that's the best ability or weapon or what have you from the game. So
Why would he do anything?
why would you do anything else? Essentially, the guy would... It might take a while for some people to realize this, but they would go through levels of extremity to get more and more satisfaction out of whatever, and eventually they'll either get bored or obliterate themselves. That's the two
Kind of
real-
like playing Grand Theft Auto.
Right, you can only have so much fun with that game. Now, reality has a lot more possibilities and a lot more interesting physical aspects than a simulated world like Grand Theft Auto, but at the same time, you've ruined humanity for your fun little activity. I don't think it's worth it in the end, either. Not to mention, they could just do that to you, too. Imagine you were one of the drones, because there's only one guy in charge. So, domination through pure,
Force.
that's not force. That's domination through domination. I mean, literal mental control is not only even if it is feasible, it is definitely not sustainable.
Yeah, definitely not sustainable.
It's terrible.
Because then how do you know you're not going to accidentally affect yourself?
Artificial intelligence made sure of that.
Yeah, but you're not an artificial intelligence, so you could be really stupid and do something that does get you.
We're not going into this scenario even
Okay.
more. We've explored the
Fine.
facets of this to the length I'm willing to go.
Yeah, and I
into.
think we are
And
actually
we are running
So-
out of time.
so
So
I
let's
think-
summarize here.
I think that was the best point to even end on, though.
What's
Is that world domination is never good. Don't do it.
No, hey, we just said that there are types of domination that are okay.
What I'm hearing Chris say
I was
is
talking about
don't
you.
dominate the world.
Don't dominate the
It's
world.
a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
But
You-
world government
and
could be good.
And he's saying world government's really bad.
Message received.
All right. Thank you everybody for joining us. If you stuck around on the new platform that we're on, thank you for being here. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Leave comments below. Check out our Facebook page, Design Flaws Podcast, and check out our other YouTube channel, Milwaukee Atheist, and that should be on actually the Mythicist Milwaukee channel. Yeah, under
so-
suggestions.
Give us our suggestions of what you want us to talk about. Give us your thoughts on world domination. What's your best type of world domination?
You
Or
like
your
penguins? You don't like
favorites?
penguins?
And do you like our penguin guy?
You know.
That is the most important question.
Hey, we don't know
Yeah.
if it's a guy or girl. We haven't really talked to him or her yet.
It's not
Tell
very.
us if this is a boy or
or
a girl.
non-binary.
Name our penguin. There, that's a thing.
Fine, name our penguin.
Yeah, have that. Okay.
We have lots of stuff we want.
Well,
you
once
to
again,
do.
thanks for joining us.
There's a sentence I never thought I'd say.
Shut up.
Name our penguin. All right, have a good one, everybody.
Bye bye.